Stan Fuller here with Grandpa's Jeep, coming from northern Utah, suburbia. I had a lot of people have asked me about what kind of modifications I've made on Grandpa's Jeep and what kind of things I've done to it to make it so I can do the silly things I do in it. So I thought I'd make a little video and show you what I have and haven't done to Grandpa's Jeep. So here we go. So Grandpa's Jeep is a 1948 Willys CJ2A, mostly stock. Look under the hood here. Got the L134 Go Devil engine in there. Carter WO carburetor. Pretty much everything that originally came from the factory in Toledo, with oil bath air cleaner, still 6-volt. See the generator down there. I have changed out the radiator. This is a aluminum radiator from Omix Ada. It does cool better than my old radiator, which is kind of plugged up. I had some trouble with the filler neck here, and I actually had my radiator shop put a regular steel filler neck on it because the aluminum one was so flimsy it wouldn't even hold the cap very well. So under the hood, pretty much stock. Right here at the shifters, you can see there's 4 of them. I've got just the regular transfer case, D18 transfer case. The T90 is actually a T90C, which is a later model than what came in the CJ2A. The T90C gives me a little bit lower first and second gear, but you can't tell that there's anything different about it from the outside. It even says on the case T90A. The transfer case, the D18 transfer case, I have installed in there the TerraLow gear set from TerraFlex. So between the T90C and the TerraLow gears, my first gear low range is about 50 or 52 to 1, as opposed to the stock, which is about 30, I think 35, something like that, to 1. Don't quote me on those numbers, but I think that's about what they are. Okay. I do not use lockout hubs on the front. I had some on there before, but they broke. Anytime you bump into something, you break them. It seems to me like it's just another point of weakness, something that's going to break. So I went back to the original drive flanges. I've been really happy with them. Okay, speaking of my axles, I have the stock Dana 25 in the front axle. The one thing that I have done is I put the Lock-Right locker in this front axle. It's not a very difficult install. You do have to make sure you do it right, but it's not a difficult install to put the Lock-Right locker in your Dana 25 front axle. Going along the side here, one thing that I've done is I got the Ian Liljabad, sorry Ian, trying to say his name right, rock sliders on here. He did an awesome job with these and cut Grandpa's Jeep's name in there. He even spelled it correctly, which is, most people say is spelled incorrectly, but that's the way I spell it. And I just tried to patina it up a little bit with some fake paint and stuff. Okay, underneath I have a few extra skid plates. If you look at the stock skid plate right there underneath the transfer case, I actually have 3 stock skid plates bolted together to make it kind of super heavy duty. I still can bend it once in a while, but it takes a pretty good shot. I've also added these extra skid plate that protects the transmission cross member. It's taken quite a beating over the last couple years since I've had them installed. You can see right here, this used to be a straight up slope up to the front. Now it's been beat up into kind of a curve. But it's really made a difference on my cross member, not getting it all bent up and broken out of shape. Back to the rear axles. This is a stock Dana 41 axle, stock 538 gears, and just like the front axle, I've installed the lock-right locker in this Dana 41. One thing that I've done with the springs is I've taken the stock plates that hung down below the springs and replaced them with these custom ones that make a smooth transition underneath the spring, so I don't get hung up and the U-bolts don't hang down below the springs like the stock ones do. It really makes a difference on getting caught on things. Just a regular old stock muffler under there. Nothing strange there. One thing I've done with the shackles on the springs, instead of the regular C shackles, I've installed these C shackles from an N38A1. They have this extra plate on the side here that makes them a little more stout. I broke a couple of shackles and got a little tired of changing them, so I got these. I haven't had any trouble with them so far. Okay, you can see my tail lights are kind of custom directional because they get banged around a bit, and the back panel there is so rusty and crusty that it doesn't take much to bang around, but they work. This roll bar, I didn't have a roll bar in here for a long time, and one of my good friends, Brian Evans, called me up one day and he said, "Stan, if I make you a roll bar, will you let me bolt it on there for you?" So I did that, and I let him put that on there for me. He built that custom for me and put that on there. Here's Ian's driver's side skid plate. And then here's, I especially wanted to make a skid plate to protect this pedal cross tube. The pedal cross tube was always getting banged and beat up, so I made this skid plate. It just bolts into the frame in existing holes, and then right there on the cross member, and then the back end, I just brought it up to touch on the frame. Once again, this one's getting pretty beat up. I actually put an extra little piece of angle iron right here to protect the cross tube. I didn't have that in there at first, and it got banged up and pinched up against the cross tube, so the pedals were a little bit hard to manage. Okay. You may have noticed on the other side when we were there that the parking brake is gone. That thing blew up and shattered on me once up in Colorado. So I just pulled all the pieces off in the parking lot of the campground and never put another one on there. I haven't really missed it. You can see how the ends of the bumper are bent back here. It also, when I got it, it had a tow bar on it, and I don't know why it has two separate mounts for the tow bar. Weird, but anyway, the bumper, I've actually shortened it up. The stock bumper is quite a bit wider, and I just beat it and bent it back actually on rocks, so I just cut it off and tried to make it look a little bit stockish, and even since then I've bent it back a lot. Just a word about tires. These tires are 716s NDTs. Firestone. I usually order them from Summit or Jegs, whoever has the best price that day. And as soon as I get them, these tires are actually fairly new. As soon as I get them, I get these sipes put in them. You can do these by hand if you want, with a box cutter or whatever you want. But I'm a little bit lazier than that. I run down to the local tire store. They have a sipe machine there, and I just have them run those through their sipe machine while they're mounting them up for me. I call this Jeep Grandpa's Jeep because it was my grandpa's hunting rig back in the 60s. And I have a kind of a special thing on here to me anyway. You can see right here where the spare tire mount was torn off. And then my grandpa welded this patch in here. They tell me he did it with a torch. Welded that in there. So I'm never going to cover that up or sand it down. Of course, I'm not going to sand anything down on this rig, really. Some of the other custom things are mostly custom dents and things that I got from a crash that I was in. The Jeep was on the trailer and we rolled over on the freeway, so it took me a while to put it back together. So that's pretty much it for any customizing and upgrades or anything that I've done to this old Jeep. I mostly just try to drive it. People that are restorers or purists or whatever probably cringe a little bit when they see me, but my main thing is I love driving it. I love getting out on the trails. I like the hard trails, I like the easy trails, the scenic trails. Just getting outside, put the glass down and go. That's what I love to do. So I would say if you have any qualms about taking your Jeep on the trail, don't. Get out there and do it. These are awesome machines and they're super fun to drive in and to ride in. Thanks for watching.